This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. So subscribe and hit that bell icon right here, right now. So today we're going to be discussing how to prepare for a relationship. If you're asexual, you may want a relationship. If you're a romantic person in nature, if you're not romantic or you're happy being single, then you might not want a relationship at all. So how can you prepare for a relationship so that when someone comes along that might be suitable for a relationship, you can accept it with open arms? Let's get stuck in right now. Just want to let you know that I am the author of Asexual Perspectives out on Amazon, if you didn't already know that. So yes, how to prepare for a relationship. So I recently met someone who is Indian, actually online, and he came in my inbox a couple of times. I'm not going to go into personal details because I respect people for confidentiality, but he isn't actually ready for a relationship, even though I think part of him might have been looking for one. And so I just want to do this video because there's so many people I see who I used to come across when I was on Facebook dating, for example, and actively looking for someone and for a relationship, and there was just so many people that weren't ready for, well, guys in my case, that weren't ready for relationships. So how can you prepare? Okay, so one is you've got to know what you want, right? You've got to know what type of person you want, like what type of qualities do you want a person to have, right? So you need to be looking for good qualities in a person, like honesty, respect in you, reliability, punctuality, does what they say, mean what they say, their actions and words line up congruently over a long period of time. You need to look for persistency, consistency, and their attitude. Are they caring towards you? Are they kind to you? Do they have an inquisitive mind about you? Do they want to get to know you more? Are they really interested in being in your life? Or do you feel like you're just the one doing all the talking and all the wanting to keep them in your life? Like, how is it for you when you're around them? How do they make you feel? Right? So you need to be thinking about all these things. Like, how do you want the person to make you feel before you've even found the person? So, for example, I want someone completely honest and couldn't lie. Just couldn't lie. They were incapable of lying whatsoever. I want someone who's caring, who's kind, who's empathetic, who can understand me on a deep emotional level, and me them, who can be a deep soulmate to me, my bestest ever friend. Obviously, I've still got best friends. I'll never, ever not have them. Deepest ever romantic soulmate, best friend in a relationship, you know? And someone who I feel physically comfortable around, you know? Thanks for the thumbs up, lots of love. So these are the qualities that you need to be thinking of. So before you even get into a relationship, you need to be deciding what qualities do you want in your ideal person, right? Like I've just explained, right? And also how they make you feel. To go into a bit more detail of that, just imagine that the person, your ideal person, was sat with you, right? Like, what would they be saying to you, and how would that make you feel? Would they be talking really nicely to you? Would they be looking into your eyes and like kind of have that glint in their eyes that they're so amazed by just being in your presence because you're so awesome? Would they make you feel loved? Would they make you feel special? Would they make you feel cared for, adored, and cherished? Right? Because too many times, for example, with myself, I've always thought about how I'd make the other person feel. Right? And when we focus on how we make the other person feel, that's great, but we're not really focusing on that person loving us in the future. We're just focused on loving them. And that's kind of all giving out to them, but not receiving. And so when we get into the mindset of giving all the time without receiving, we can neglect our own needs. And that's a warning sign to us in the future that we're going to neglect our own emotional needs and our own needs in general in a relationship. So this is not really much talked about, you know, but if you want to attract a good person for you, the right person, you need to be thinking how they will make you feel. The majority of time, no one's perfect. Fiola, hello Sandra, how are you feeling? Hope you feel better. Also not well, sore throat, chest coughing. I hope, yeah, I'm still taking antibiotics. Hope you feel better soon, Viola. Let's get back to tonight's topic. And so one is, what type of qualities do you want? And thanks for caring about me. Much appreciate my audience here caring about me. I have to say that. Lots of love to you all. So now, first of all, find out what type of qualities you want the person to have. Secondly, how they make you feel, not just how you make them feel. Right? It's a big mistake focusing on how you make them feel. You are a beautiful, sweet person, Sandra. You deserve a good, loyal partner. Oh, thank you, Liam. Lots of love. Nice to see you here. So yeah, I do deserve a really loyal, faithful partner. I totally agree with you. I love you so much, both of you. You're lovely. Thanks you for the thumbs up. Always appreciate it. And so, what type of qualities do you want? How do you want the person to make you feel? Not just how you want them to make not just how you want to make them feel, but how do you want them to make you feel? That's really, really important. Also, you then need to decide as well, like, what the deal breakers. This is like one of the first types of questions you should be asking when a new person comes into your life and they're potentially a relationship match. Because if you don't know what your deal breakers are, you'll be like chasing your tail. So some of the guys I used to talk on Facebook dating, which I'm not actively doing anymore, because I'm not on, I'm on permanent take a break from that now, and I've deleted the Bumble app. Some of the guys on there I was talking to, and they didn't actually know what they want. So you need to be asking them questions about deal breakers, and you need to know what you want in a relationship in order to find what you want, and the other person does as well. But if you don't know what the hell you want in a relationship, you're not going to be prepared for when someone comes in your life. So many guys I've met, so what are you looking for in a relationship? Like long term? Oh, I don't know. Right? And okay, some people might just be looking to hook up, but that's not, everyone's not just looking to hook up. And some of these guys, they really haven't thought you through. They haven't thought through where they're going to live permanently. They haven't thought through whether they want kids or marriage or not. They haven't thought through what the relationship is going to be like on a day-to-day basis. When I ask a question like, oh, so what would a relationship look like to you on a daily basis? Their answer, they either don't understand the question or can't answer it, or they'll give something generic like, oh, I'll be talking to that person and maybe seeing them. And I'm like, yeah, but how would that work? Like, what proportion of your time per week are you going to be spending with this person? Are you going to want to spend 2 or 3 days a week with this person if you don't live with them? Are you going to want to do video calls with them? Are you going to want to be messaging them every day? Like, how much communication do you want in a relationship? Like, when do you want them to meet your parents? Have you even told your parents you like an older girl? Like, a lot of guys that I come across, they don't even tell their family they like an older girl. And they can't even like have the courage to introduce them later on because they haven't set the foundations. Set the foundations for what you want now if you want a relationship. Like, I told my parents years ago that I don't want children. Since I'm 15 years old, I've known I don't want kids. I've always expressed that to my parents, so they're not disappointed because they know that's what I'm like. They're quite happy and content accepting me as I am because I've got them used to that for years. Same with the fact I like younger foreign guys, particularly Indian, and I like guys that are early to mid-20s. They know that about me. They're not going to be shocked if I end up with a guy who's 23 years old. They're going to be thinking, well, yeah, that's expected. That's normal for Sandra, And even a lot of the times nowadays, they think a lot of guys are too old for me because they know what I'm like. Like, I live a very young teenager life, and I just adore my life so much, and I like the way I live. I like living like a teenager on purpose. I like being young, in my soul and my mindset, and they know that I'm not suitable really for an older guy because I just don't have anything in common with older guys usually, or guys anywhere near my birth certificate age, because to me they're older because I don't think like that, I don't think about my birth certificate age. I think I'm a lot younger than that. So it's really important that you know what you want. And I just wish the guys that I speak to used to, I don't speak to them on dating sites anymore, but this particular guy that I was speaking to that I spoke about in the beginning of this video, which I'm not going to divulge his personal conversation to me, but he did come in my inbox twice. In the first one, he wanted to tell me that I look pretty. So clearly he was interested in me. But he's not ready for a relationship. He's not in the right stage of his life for one, and so it's kind of like I would urge people to not pursue relationship or pursue anyone in any way unless you're sure that that's what you want, you know? And if you're pursuing hooking ups, then go to specific hookup sites and put in your bio, I'm looking just for a hookup. I actually appreciate the guys who do that, even though I think it's disgusting personally just hooking up for sex, because that's the way I personally feel about it. Some people love that, and that's okay if other people love it. But personally, I hate it. I think it's disgusting and a devaluation, um to just do that continuously. I guess, like, some people do it to find out what they like and what they don't like and experiment and all that type of thing. So I'm not saying from a professional practical point of view there isn't some validity for some individuals in that, like, people don't know what they want, but in general I just don't like that hookup culture. I don't like that mentality. I don't like guys playing games. I don't like casual sex. I don't like any sex these days. I never really liked it ever anyway. I wasn't interested in that, but I did it in the past because I thought I had to as part of a normal relationship. I didn't hate it when I did it with my last ex. He was very good at that, but in general, I just very repulsed by it these days. For me personally, not for others who like it, enjoy it, and it's consensual. But you need to know what you like. And I see so many guys, I'm thinking, I feel sorry for these guys, some of them. Like, I'm like, you've come to me. I'm a really good person with a kind heart, really honest, really loyal, really faithful. I'm not going to go around cheating and having sex with other guys, and not that I'm interested in sex anyway, but even years ago, hookups are pointless, really. Yeah, that's what I think, Liam. I mean, some people might do it to experiment, but I think it's much better to, if you're going to experiment sexual wise, I think it's much better to do that within a serious committed relationship. Personally, I prefer kissing inside a relationship. I still prefer that, even though I love kissing so much, even though I have kissed guys in clubs, which I haven't actually kissed a guy in a club since 2020. Obviously I've kissed a guy this year when I was on Facebook dating. But although I love kissing so much, I don't want a kissing hookup because I'll just get attached to the guy and you don't want a relationship anyway. And most women do get hurt when they do that type of stuff because they do get attached, because when you're physical with someone, it does make you emotionally attached to the person a lot more because you bond with, like, chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, all this type of thing. It releases happy chemicals and you kind of bond together more through those chemicals. I mean, obviously just by kissing someone or having sex, they kind of like ignites the same emotions and feelings usually. I mean, obviously I love kissing so much, but kissing really is like my replacement for sex. I'm not interested in sex, but it's kind of like my thing instead of sex. Like, kissing is my sex because I love kissing so much. It releases dopamine, adrenaline, serotonin, all the type of things that you would usually get released during sex, which to me, it doesn't make me happy or ecstatic or orgasmic sex. I don't get the appeal, really. It doesn't make me have those feelings or emotions, really. But kissing does. So for some reason, because I'm asexual, obviously, then my happy chemicals don't come across with sex. Usually they come across with kissing because I adore it. I find it very freeing and liberating. So I guess I wouldn't say it's more, maybe replacement's the wrong word, but equivalent of sex. It's my go-to thing physically in a relationship. I like lots of public kissing, lots of public displays of affection. I just love it all the time. um I realized it's lust. What, the hooking up, Fiola, or this is what Fiola says, she realizes it's lust. Yeah, and also, you've got to be careful because even kissing can get addictive. And so, I always have to remember now that I have to look for the qualities in a person, not just the aesthetics and the initial chemistry that you get even just through kissing, or you can have chemistry, without even having any physicality. It's just when you've got more and more attached to them, I guess, more and more emotionally close to that person, you can start to feel some chemistry with some people, just been being around them and their aura as well. So you've got to be so careful when you're looking for a relationship to know exactly what you want. So you need to prepare for that, but you also need to know the difference. Fiola, no, they look physical attraction, body, face for sex. They don't really love person, but look for marriage. Yes. I do agree with Fiona that a lot of people are looking for physical appearance, looking for sex and marriage. They're not really actually interested in love. So I give up on them because I'm not their type. Yeah. it's better to give up on people like that anyway, that are just after sex and lust. I mean, this is what it boils down to at the end of the day, seriously, is that however much people might like physical appearance, like physicality and stuff like that, you have to be able to get on with a person as a bestest friend, as a teammate, right? So many people look for a relationship. They look for quick fixes. They look for swiping this person, that person. They look for looks, and they don't actually work on themselves. So in order to prepare for a relationship, you need to work on yourself. This is categorically the number one thing you should be doing in preparation for a relationship, is working on yourself, bettering yourself, understanding yourself more, becoming a better version of you, knowing what you want, what you like, what you dislike, what you need, what you don't need, and working out how you would incorporate another person into your life. Like, I live on my own. Like, how would it work in practical terms? Practical terms, I probably want to see a guy twice a week. Liam, I prefer to be alone. I have a little interest in being in a relationship as I have in sex. I don't believe in love for myself. That's fair enough, Liam. People don't have to have a relationship. As I said at the beginning of this video, some people do want a relationship who are asexual, some people don't, and that's perfectly fine. For me personally, I still do have the sense of, I believe I have a soulmate who's Indian out there. And I can't lie to myself about that. I can't deny that's how I feel. And internally, I do feel that still. I still feel that way, even though I have been really not liking Indian guys a lot lately. There's 2 Indian guys that showed up in my life. And one is asexual, but he's not suitable for a relationship at all, and he's staying in his country. And the other one is this other Indian guy. They restored my faith in Indian guys, though, which is good, because they seem like they're honest people, and both of them, and they seem really nice to talk to. So in general, although the older one's not suitable for me, Sandri's coming, be full of joy. Thank you. Yes, it's best to be on your own, says Fiona, if they're just blinded by lust, basically. But one thing I've been working on myself. Like, you notice my room's different already. I've still got stuff to do around my room, but my shelving's now different. I got all my books pretty much out there. So I've been reorganizing my flat, and sorting it out and cleaning. I'm getting rid of some old stuff still that my ex gave me or his mum gave me. I've still got more to do with that. Probably gonna have to get rid of quite a lot of stuff in that respect, which is not easy because, like, some of it's cuddly toys that I get really attached to. But yeah, and some stuff I still like kind of use. So well, I guess most of it's cuddly toys. Anyway, moving on, like, it's very important. You need to move on from your exes. In order to do that, one thing you can do to prepare for a relationship is literally don't be in contact with your exes usually. The majority of the time, you shouldn't be contacting your ex. If you're still in contact with your ex regularly on a regular basis, it can be very hard for you to ever find a relationship for you, another relationship, because whether it's conscious or subconsciously, you will usually still have feelings for that person. There'll always be a what if there. Like, what if years to come we were back in a relationship? Or you might just be so used to them being there like daily for you that it's like being in a relationship and you've never really split up. You don't have the commitment of a relationship. So it's like this untold relationship where, you are actually acting still like you're in a relationship with them, but you're not, because you've not got the commitment of a relationship. And if you're doing that, in my experience, in my opinion, and also in my research, because I study a lot of dating and relationships advice by other coaches, for example, you can't usually stay in that place, because if you've got feelings for an ex and they're still around you, then you're not going to ever be able to open up your heart to someone else. I've always said on this channel, you can't open your heart up fully to someone else if someone else is still in it. And this means in your inbox, if you're still talking to a guy you've got feelings for and you want to possibly be in a relationship with, you're going to sabotage yourself a lot of the time with a new relationship, because you're still going to be thinking, what if with the other person? And it's really difficult because sometimes people are friends with their exes. Sometimes people do stay friends with their exes. But, it's a huge warning. Be careful. Yeah, you delete their number. I block them usually. A lot of the time you can delete their number or block them. It depends, because if you delete their number, they can still then contact you via it again, so it's a good idea to block it. But like, one of the guys came back into my life, which I did a video about, 3 guys coming back into my life in 7 days a while ago, and one of those guys was a Pakistani guy that I had a date with, and he got a new number and still contacted me, although I didn't know it was him at first. But there was no point in contacting me because he wasn't ready for a relationship. One, he lied to me before and I can never trust him again. And 2, he was coming back to basically say a sorry, but it wasn't a proper sorry, because it's like, oh, if I prove to you what the actual truth is, then I want you to be in a relationship with me. That's emotional blackmail. You can't expect someone to be in a relationship with you if you've lied and half of your story is completely made up, about who you are and what your background is, etc. You can't expect that from someone. And it's not a genuine apology anyway, If someone's genuinely sorry, they don't put attachments to it. They don't attach like conditions with it. I'll say I'm sorry and I'll come and see you and tell you the truth based on if you get back in a relationship with me or not. And I won't spend any time with you until you accept the fact of what I've told you and in a relationship with you. I mean, that's just emotional blackmail and manipulation. I'm not interested in guys like that, And so if you, for example, like, some people like chase their exes, right? There's no point in chasing your ex unless you've changed. You're not actually ready for a relationship with your ex unless you've changed, or they have, or both. Because they're your ex for a reason, right? Because you weren't suitable. And it doesn't mean to say, even if 1, 2, 5, 10, 15 months has passed, you're going to be suitable for a relationship ever again, unless one of you changes or both of you does. There's no point. The old problems are just going to resurface and be there. So, I've still got chest infection. Oh, God, I'm starting coughing again. So, work through your past issues. I wouldn't personally recommend getting back with an ex, because most of the time they're meant to stay an ex, because for the reasons you split up, which don't usually change. Fiola, there's Summit and Jenny married. Sumit and Jenny. Oh, I can't. I'm on my phone at the moment, so it's really difficult to see the live chat. Right. Okay. So Thiola says there's Summit and Jenny married now, 30 years, age gap, 90-day fiance. She has a problem with his parents. His parents don't want him, never see him ever again in his mum's funeral. His mum is so cruel and mean. Right, okay. So basically, Fiola's talking about, I haven't seen what she's talking about exactly, but, in age gap loves, in interracial relationships, you can have a lot of family issues. And I think what Thiola is saying is she's picking up on what I said earlier. Oh, yes, living in India, she's 62 and he's 33. Right, yeah. So basically there's an age gap there. So it's very important that you do prepare your family early on for the type of relationship you want. But they may not agree with you anyway. You cannot change your parents' views, like, by trying to make them change their views, You can't do that. You have to understand that your parents aren't you. And even if they raised you and love you, it's just really hard. Theodore says, but his mummy's boy can't leave his mum and mum hates Jenny. Yeah. So basically, the scenario Theola's saying is very difficult, because there's a relationship between age gap love, and he can't be strong enough to leave his mum and basically, or tell her, stick up for his partner and just be there for her. So, I don't want to go too much off the topic of this video, but what Theola's saying is it's really important to prepare, like I'm saying on this video, prepare the family for what you're actually interested in. But, they might not actually agree with it. You can't force your parents to change their opinion. You can't force them to be something they're not. You can't force them to believe stuff they don't believe in, right? And sometimes we may have to choose someone that our parents don't agree with, right? If that's what makes us ultimately happy. Right? But healthy parents will want you to just be happy anyway, whatever your choice or decision is. Someone who's possessive, like the mother that Theola's talking about, and some guy who's like a mummy's boy who can't make decisions for himself, is personally, I don't think, very healthy to be in a relationship with, because you need to be in a relationship with a team with the person you're in a relationship with, not in a threesome with the mother. I have had an ex, I've brought it up on this channel before, which I don't talk about ex very much, as a very long time ago. And he basically was incestual with his mother. You know, they used to be in the shower room together, one in the toilet, on the toilet naked, one in the shower naked. It's disgusting. And it was like having a third party in the relationship. His mum used to try and purposely get him to see her without my knowledge, to be doing stuff like smoking, which he gave up when he was with me because he knew I didn't like it and stuff. I couldn't be with a smoker and stuff like that. It was just horrendous time. And so now, you know, like I really need, if I was ever in a relationship, to get on with the parents. Like, even though I think it's important for the guy to pick himself, like if the parents are very important to that guy, then I would need to be able to get on with the parents and them get on with me. Right. And obviously I'm an older girl, so that might cause issues with the parents, as in like, oh, the birth certificate age of me might be too close to their birth certificate age for the comfort of what they'd be used to with someone being with their son. But at the end of the day, that's why I need to prepare for a relationship with the right guy. That's why you must have questions ready. One of the ways you prepare for a relationship is by having the right questions ready. So the questions about the deal breakers, like, you don't say to the person, do you want to marry me? Do you want kids with me? You say to them as a general question, like, what's your view on kids? What's your view on marriage? What's your view on sex? What's your view on living together? You need to ask all these questions and ask them what their view is. This way, you are not saying, I want you to have babies with me. I want you to marry me. I want you to live with me, which is very kind of like jumping the gun, quite demanding, and also can scare the person off because, you know, they've just met you. Right. But if you ask the generic questions and general questions, like, what's your view on marriage? If they say I'm undecided, like for me personally, I don't want marriage, that would be no good for me. Really, because they don't know what they want, they could change their mind. If they say, right, well, I don't mind getting married one way or the other, or I don't like it, then that's fine. Obviously, someone can still change their mind. You have to understand that, right? Everyone and everyone has the right to change their mind. And this is why you really need to look for a person who wants a relationship, who's worked on themselves and their own issues in life and worked through their past traumas as much as possible. So, you know, they're going to be quite stable. When someone's got a lot of emotional problems and trauma and they haven't tried to sort anything out with therapy, for example, then they can take all those problems and issues from relationship to relationship. They can not know who they are. They can be very destabilizing, very insecure about themselves. That's not good, healthy relationship to get into, because if they're insecure about themselves, if they're all over the place about themselves, if they don't love themselves, then they're going to probably latch on to the people that come close to them, even if that person's not good for them. They're not going to have very good boundaries. They might not have good, strong morals or ethics. They might just love attention from the next person who comes along. They're not going to know what they want. They're not going to be giving you the security and stability you need. And so I would urge you, if you're one of those people who has go through a lot of trauma, I've been through a lot of trauma, but I have had quite a lot of counselling and therapy in my life. I got into personal and professional development, self-development. I'm constantly working on myself, trying to upgrade myself, trying to better my mind, trying to better myself and my life. And so you're a work in progress. You work on yourself never ever stops, right? It's constant work to improve yourself, to get better at health, wealth, relationships, finances, friendships, family situations, living situations, environmental situations, constant work. You don't ever stop working in that respect. So if you've not even started your journey about working on yourself, then obviously that's what you need to do. Because if you're not happy with yourself or your life, you don't like the way it is, you need to do something about it. No one else can do that for you. And in order to be in a healthy, happy relationship, you need to have worked on yourself as much as possible to understand that you have issues and problems. They're not your fault a lot of the time from the past, but you need to get them sorted. Or maybe they are your responsibility and fault. Maybe you were nasty to someone or toxic for someone and you hadn't sorted your shit out. Excuse my language. You know, you need to sort your shit out before you get into a relationship. Sort your shit before you get into a relationship. It's very, very important. And no one's going to be perfect when they go into a relationship. Everyone's going to have baggage and stuff. And you need to find a person that's willing to help you through the difficult times, but also be willing to help yourself. Like, it's a relationship is a teamwork, and you're going to have lots of fears and insecurities crop up in that relationship anyway, especially if you've got past issues. It's going to happen. I need someone who's like going to be stable and secure for you and still be there for you whilst you work on your own stuff and grow yourself whilst growing in the relationship together, you know? Like, if you're a person who expects to just spend 29 minutes a week talking to someone and having a serious committed relationship, you've got a lot of work to do on yourself. There's no way that you can have that minimal amount of communication and have a healthy relationship. You should be communicating with your partner, or even if you're serious about someone dating, you should be, you should be communicating with them on a daily basis and getting to know them, asking questions about them, and sharing parts of your life with them also. You need to build up a strong foundation of friendship, and to get to know them on a friendship level, to know what's right about them, what's wrong about them for you, what's good, what's not so good, so you can make an informed choice of decision later on where they be suitable for you to be in a relationship with them or not. Because when someone just comes into your life, a lot of the time they're showing you their best Brits. They're not showing you the dark side of them. They're not showing you the depressed side. They're not showing you the ill side. They're not showing you the side that's not so appealing in general, right? But if you've worked on yourself, you will have good stuff to say. But obviously, if you've got past issues, it's important that you do say those things. And some people might say, well, it'll put them off. Well, it might put some people off. It depends what the issues are. Um, but if you can prove that you're working on yourself, if you say, hey, I've got these issues, but I'm getting therapy for it, I'm working through my issues, I'm trying to improve my life, and they can see genuine improvement and you wanting to grow and develop, you have the potential for a very healthy relationship because you want to work on yourself, because you know you're not perfect, because you want to try your best to be better for yourself and for someone else. Right? So, like, I'm trying to change myself and my life at the moment, my environment, upgrade to the next level, the next upgraded version of Sandra. Doesn't mean to say I'm completely changing everything. I'm just making massive changes for me at the moment. This is a massive change, like changing my room around when I got an anxiety condition. I hate cleaning. I'm just doing so much cleaning and sorting and chucking stuff away. This is quite a big deal for me. As an anxiety person, as someone with an anxiety condition, any changes are always difficult for me. It's weird. And I'm just being guided by my intuition. I got still stuff all over my floor that I need to sort out. And I'm currently sorting out the area near my TV, which I haven't done before for a long time. And so that wasn't actually on my original plan. But yeah, and I've got my rock salt lamp working. I'm feeling so soothed and calm by that now. I've had it for years and it was hidden. And I had to replace the bulb and plug, and it's just soothing. And so I want to get more soothing things on my life. I want to get more good energies, and like getting rid of stuff in your exes is so important, especially if you've got any love letters, any cards, any like stuff that's got memories of them particularly would need to be got rid of, because you can't like expect new energies to come into your life and more positive things if you're still clinging to the old stuff that doesn't help you anymore in your life. And it can be difficult, if you've got attachment to these things, really, really hard, but it's essential to like, just move on with your life. It takes time. You can't do it overnight, although I have been changing my flat overnight, like for the last, I say overnight, since Friday, so for a few nights. So yeah, it's like interesting. So sometimes you have to not overthink things and just get on with it. But in preparation for a relationship, you should be working on yourself. Like, I'm thinking, right, if I'm attracting guys who are no good for me, then I need to be working on myself and making myself in a better version of myself, an upgraded version, a higher quality version, a more organized version, a more efficient version, so that I can attract a more organized, efficient guy who's more clear on what he wants by having a clearer bedroom, a clearer flat, things in more orderly fashion. Then I should be able to attract someone who's clearer in what they want, hopefully, Um, and so by making incremental changes in myself and the way I live my life, I see that progressing to bigger and better things even. And I know what's coming up in my life on this channel. I'm going to be continuing to grow it. I've got a couple of new ideas I want to try out in the future when I get my MacBook Pro. There'll kind of be new features of this channel, plus everything else that I'm doing currently as well. And so that's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be kind of adaptations on what I already do, but specific style. So I'm looking forward to testing that out. I'm just going to test it and see how it goes, because I know people are used to me on my channel here, and a lot of people do have anxiety conditions and stuff, and they're like, so you don't want to go off your main kind of style if it works really well, but trying something else to enhance my channel as well and bring in new viewers will help me, I think, and help raise awareness of asexuality and grow this community even more. So that's what I want to do, but I really need better equipment to do it on. That's why I feel more faster and efficient equipment. So when I get my MacBook Pro, it's going to really help. And so, like, you might think, how is this relevant? Because when I'm improving myself, my life, my career, my environment, the tools I use, the resources I use in my life, it's going to improve me as a person, and it's going to make me seek a higher quality guy for myself, because I'm going to be like, well, I'm at this level now. I want a guy that's at, like, growing to another level himself, or is self-aware. One of the greatest things you need to do is be self-aware about what you want, and then work out as well through careful questioning what other people want when they come into your life. So in preparation for a relationship and while you're dating, you need to ask the right questions, like I've said about the deal breaker question, but you need to be asking the person stuff like, oh, so like career-wise, where you're going, like what's your view on traveling, like where are you at with your career? If they're studying, like how many more years of studying have they got? If they're in another country, do they have any plans to come over to your country? Like, what's the deal with that? So always get good at asking questions. Have sets of questions that you need to ask a potential suitor if they're on a dating site, for example, if you met them, or even if you're just generally attracted to someone you meet in person. Like, know what types of questions you would ask them to ascertain whether they'd be possibly suitable for a relationship. Obviously, you need to establish if they're single and looking for a relationship. If they're married or in a relationship, you don't want to go there unless they're polyamorous and you are, obviously. But again, careful questioning would be needed. So always prepare for a relationship before you have it. Always work on yourself. Know what you want. Know what qualities you look for in a person. Know how you want them to make you feel as well as you would like to make them feel. Look for someone who's growth orientated. So someone who's like, I'm not happy being static where I am. I want to change and grow myself to be a better person. I want to work on myself. I want to develop myself. Always look for a growth mindset person, because if you look for a growth mindset person, they'll want to grow in the relationship with you as well as an individual. They won't look at it as though, oh, I'm just having a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a partner. They will look at it as though, oh, hey, so how can we grow this relationship? So we have like a similar vision. You should have a similar vision to each other for how you want the relationship to be, and be able to plan it together, like in theory at least, and then be able to take decisive action towards achieving those growth and relationship goals together. So a relationship requires growth. If it doesn't grow, it stagnates and dies, and usually that's when people split up. So you need to be growing as a person and allowing each other space to do that, and growing as a team as well, and working on yourselves and saying, like constantly, like, how do you feel things are going, and giving feedback. If there's some problem, you need to bring it up sooner rather than later, so you need to get good at being more confident in yourself. You need to get good at asking the right questions. You need to get good at understanding yourself, your wants, your needs, your likes, your dislikes, what you need to work on. You need to understand what you see your vision as for your relationship, like what type of house or accommodation do you want? Do you want to live with the person or not? Where do you want to be situated when you get into a relationship? Do you want to be where you are at now, or are you intending to move in a few months? Do you want to be having someone in this country, or do you need to move abroad to find someone in another country? Like, what do you actually want, And when you ask yourself all these questions, you're going to be able to ascertain so much more easily if someone comes in your inbox or through a dating site or even in person, and they're interested in a relationship with you. You're going to be able to ascertain a lot more faster, and if this person's going to be suitable at all for you or not, and you don't waste so much of your time then if they're not, and you find that out earlier on. Okay, I hope you found this video useful, helpful, insightful. If you have, pop in a thumbs up. Love to know what you think. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or just want a comment on the channel. And And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already and hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now, post a new video. Lots of love to you. Bye.